Hello, everyone, and welcome to our virtual open day. You're in the College of Science roundtable discussion. My name is Professor Libby John, and I'm the Pro Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science. I really hope you're enjoying our virtual open day today, and you've found out lots of information already about the University of Lincoln. During this session, I'm going to meet with lots of members of staff from the College of Science in 4 of our teams: chemistry, life sciences, maths and physics, and geography. And I'm going to help you talk to them and help you find out all about studying here at the university. In addition to those subjects, as a college, we offer a wide range of exciting research-informed and industry-relevant undergraduate programs in subjects also including computer science, engineering, medicine, pharmacy, and you'll be able to hear about those other subjects on a different stream. Choosing to study at the University of Lincoln would mean choosing to learn from staff who are working at the forefront of new discoveries and are some of the best thinkers in their fields, as well as being fabulous teachers. In addition, you'll be provided with innovative spaces for study and research, and as a science student, you get access to incredible facilities built especially for teaching and learning across our campuses. For example, the Joseph Banks laboratories that you'll see some of my colleagues in soon, and the brand new Isaac Newton building are both on our main Brayford campus. Today's roundtable will begin in a minute, and you'll be able to find out what's on when from the main schedule. In addition to colleagues from chemistry, life sciences, maths and geography and physics, we'll have colleagues from our Science Foundation year team to tell you all about alternative entry routes for those of you who might be worried about whether or not you meet our standard entry requirements. I hope you'll find this discussion useful, and we encourage you to participate by you can ask your questions in the comments section of the video, and we'll try and answer them if we can and if we have time. But we also have staff and students waiting to answer your questions over on UniBuddy, so please head over there if you have questions afterwards that we haven't been able to answer. You can find the schedule of this roundtable discussion on our virtual Open Day website. But first, let me introduce the School of Chemistry. We're incredibly proud of chemistry at Lincoln, as they recently ranked 3rd overall in the Guardian University Guide 2021. The school offers a research-driven environment to develop new chemical innovation and chemists for the future. They have strong partnerships with regional and national chemical science companies and organisations to ensure that the curriculum is current and relevant, along with providing educational opportunities for students to engage with employers. In this session, you'll hear from several members of academic staff who are here to tell you more about studying chemistry at Lincoln. Hello, Ian, Hilary and Tasnim. Welcome to our roundtable discussion. Can you all introduce yourselves, please, and say a little bit about what you do at Lincoln and where you are?
So I'll go first. So hello, everyone. Nice to have you along. I'm Ian Scowen. I'm the head of school here. School of Chemistry has chemistry programs and forensic science programs. I have overview of that. And I'm joining you from Joseph Banks Laboratories in one of our instrument labs, and behind me we have X-ray diffraction facilities, and it's good to be with you today.
I'm Tasnim. I'm the program leader for the chemistry courses, which includes forensic chemistry, but I'm also the admissions tutor for all of the different programs in the School of Chemistry, and I'm joining you from one of the teaching labs.
So I'm Hilary. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning for the school, and I'm also a forensic toxicologist. And today I'm joining you from our on-campus crime scene house, which you might be able to see a little bit behind me. I think you're just about to see a bedroom there. I'm not expecting a crime to happen today, but if you come and join us, then you will be able to use the crime scene house to practice all your crime scene skills.
Brilliant. Thank you all for being with us today. So can you first of all tell us a little bit about what students might expect from studying chemistry or forensic science at Lincoln? What's it like being a student in your school?
Yeah, I'd like to start. So, Libby, student experience is really important to us. It's one of the main factors, and something that we really a big focus on in the school, and that students have a really supporting learning atmosphere here at Lincoln. And we make sure that we put a number of activities in place to make that transition from school or college to university much easier. We also place a great emphasis on developing important skills that students need for employment, for example, team working, presentation skills, interview skills, etc. And especially in the early years of the program, working together, students working together on collaborative exercises throughout each of the different programs. We're also strongly committed to developing students as individuals. So, working with them on a one-to-one basis. And we spend a lot of time with each student individually. And also to help them, make their choices for future employment. What do they want to do? What do they want to go on to do? And making that individual opportunities available for them.
So we've also got a really strong commitment to equality, diversity and inclusion. And if you come and see us, and we really hope you will be able to come and see us soon, as well as looking around our facilities, you can look in our trophy cabinet where we have a very nice for EDI and Athena Swan Award. And we plan all our diversity and inclusion in collaboration with the students. The students are a really important part of our EDI team, and I'm the deputy chair of that. We also have a really strong international focus in the school. So lots of our academics are international, and that's a really good way to contextualize the chemistry and forensic science that you learn. And they're also able to provide you as students with global opportunities in the future.
So I think it's important for us to say, it's been a very dynamic learning community here, but the students are fully integrated into the team. As a school that opened in 2014, the students have really been central to the successes that we've seen, and we use and collaborate closely on developing our future activities with the student community.
And as Libby said earlier, we've just got our Guardian League table positions, and we enjoy really strong rankings for both of our subject strands. Chemistry programs were ranked number 3 in the Guardian League tables. And very importantly for us, about student experience, we're number 1 for student experience, teaching quality, and in the recent Times Good University Guide, number 1 for graduate employment as well. And, we've been number 1 for the last couple of years, 2017, 18, and 2018 and 19. Ian?
Yeah, sure. Just in the broader context, you may well be aware that the University of Lincoln has been named Modern University of the Year by the Times and Sunday Times. And alongside that, the university was recognised for its teaching excellence with a Gold Award in the latest Teaching Excellence Framework exercise.
We also do really well in our forensic science programs. So we consistently rank strongly, particularly for graduate prospects. So that's what you're going to do when you leave the University of Lincoln. And we're currently in the top 5 in the Complete University Guide and the Times Good University Guide in the category of forensic and archaeological science.
And then, as you can see, we're in some of our facilities here, but we've invested quite heavily into our teaching and training environment. About 27 million in the last couple of years. So, and we'd like to say one thing that we're really proud of is that our research facilities are fully integrated into our curriculum. So as students, you'll have hands-on access to all of this equipment, and it'll be, throughout your studies right from year 1. Also, in terms of our curriculum, we've designed a program which is informed by industry. So we haven't just gone and designed it. We've worked with industry in designing our curriculum. And we have staff from industry coming to teach our students on some of our professional practice modules, which we'll talk to you about later. But that really helps with future employment prospects as well.
Yeah, we'll develop this sort of central philosophy, I think, as we explain things a little further. But it's important that we expose our students to the advances that we're driving in fundamental science, but also how those are contextualized in professional careers. And behind that, we have our research activities in the school, which are very lively and create many innovative advances, really around three broad focus strands: how we use chemistry to create advanced functional materials, how we use and help a chemical understanding of the chemical biology interface, and indeed how we can use methodologies and develop those for different contexts through analysis. And we drive these in numbers of important areas: electronics, areas like energy, the pharmaceutical industry, in security and forensics. And these collaborative interactions with industry and with the academic community are reflected really in how we've structured our undergraduate training as well.
Well, thank you all. That makes it sound like a really exciting and vibrant place to be a student. Moving on to the students, can you tell us a little bit about what students will achieve from studying chemistry or forensic science, and a bit more detail about their career prospects?
Yeah, Libby, I can answer that. So as we mentioned earlier, our graduate prospects are extremely strong. And some of it is we incorporated that into our degree programs. And we routinely place our students with graduate schemes with major employers, for example, AstraZeneca, GSK, Reckitt Benckiser, Jaguar Land Rover, the defense area, LGC Forensics, amongst many others. I'll pass you over to Hilary, who'll talk to you about more of the forensics graduate prospects.
So we recognise that not everyone is going to want to necessarily go into a lab job, and our forensic scientists can go into all different kinds of things. So don't be concerned about it meaning you're going to have to do a certain thing. So there's lots of opportunities for you, and because we've got a really strong focus on professional practice throughout our programme and quality, and how important quality is, we have some of our graduates who go into things like policy roles. So we've got one graduate who works with the Forensic Science Regulator, and another person who works on the Criminal Cases Review Commission. So that person's looking into miscarriages of justice.
And obviously we know that students don't always go into a graduate job straight after. They may want to further their study as well. So I think this year 25% of our students went on to PhDs in major UK and international universities. I think what we're trying to say is that students under degree programs from all of our different programs will learn the fundamentals of the science and then how that is applied in professional contexts.
And that application is really important, particularly in forensic science. And so it's a really strong focus for us. So as well as specialist academics leading the teaching, we also have professional practitioners who come in, people who are working in forensic science, and really put it all into context. And our best example of this is Beth, who's our crime scene teacher, and she has a dual role. So part of the time she's going to crime scenes with West Yorkshire Police, and then part of the time she's going to be in here with you in the crime scene house and telling you some of her gory stories that she has.
Yeah, as Hilary said, our chemistry programs also have a professional practice strand incorporated throughout the program. So where our students will work very closely with industry from a number of different sectors, and they'll set themselves industry challenges, and where they'll work with industry in problem solving and delivering particular industry challenges.
So that all sounds fabulous. Like you're really connected with that world of work that students are going to go on to after their degrees, and it's great to hear you've got such a fabulous track record of getting students into brilliant jobs. Can you tell us a bit about the uniqueness of your programs now? What's unique about studying in your school? We can see a flavour of your facilities there, but can you tell us a bit more about that? Sure.
I mean, we've mentioned professional practice a few times, but I think one of the unique features of each of our program sets, chemistry and forensic science, is the incorporation throughout the program of professional practice, how they apply their science in context, how they can develop their skills and understanding to become true industry professionals. And we do that, as colleagues have mentioned, with a broad spread of engagement with external people, and also having a staff colleagues who work regularly in that context. I think on our chemistry programs, we have opportunities for end-on placement in the MChem program, and there's considerable flexibility in that. Students can choose to go on industry placement. We routinely have about half our students out on industry placement in our MChem. The others can pursue international opportunities with our international collaborators, and we've had people across the globe in all sorts of contexts completing their MChem in that way, while others decide that they would prefer to work alongside the research groups here, and they become a fully integrated part through a research placement. Now, there's flexibility in all of that process. People aren't locked into particular pathways, and really one of the things is about how we can make the best choices with students so that they're going to pursue that end-on fourth-year placement in the right way for them. Hilary, there's some detail around forensic science here as well, I guess.
Yeah, so we also have international opportunities in forensic science, and between the second and third years we run 3 international field trips, which will obviously depend on good old government guidance at the time. But if we can, we like to either take you to Texas, where we have a forensic entomology themed field trip. So that's all around bugs and how they can be used in crime scenes. There's also one in Guatemala to do with forensic anthropology. So that's human remains. And then the one that I go on, I went on this one last year, that's in New York. And that's based on my area, forensic toxicology, particularly around the problems they've been having with opioids in the US recently. So these are really great opportunities, not just to travel overseas, but also to see how forensics is done elsewhere, because forensics isn't done in the same way everywhere in the world, but also just gives you a little bit more insight into those very specialist areas. If you can't, or we recognise that not everybody wants to go overseas, there is an optional module that you can do here in the UK. And that's a chance for you to show how creative you are. So that's to do with public understanding of forensic science. And as well as Beth, who I mentioned before, who's our crime scenes person, we also have other specialists who come in throughout the programme to help you to learn about specialist areas, and also just to get what it would be like to work in that particular area. So we've got things like document examiners, fire scenes, DNA, quality control, and then that all-important presenting in court at the end, and you'll all get a chance to do that in the third year, and that's we get someone in from outside to help teach that as well.
So some of the facilities we're sitting in at the moment become a routine part of your training throughout the programs, and you develop an understanding and a confidence with those, so that not only can you run an exercise on them, but you can also then use them for problem solving in the higher level third year and fourth year research programs, as well as some of our industry challenges, as we've mentioned.
So both our sets of programs are accredited. So the chemistry programs, and Tasnim will talk about those in a minute, and the forensic ones are accredited by external bodies. So the forensic ones are accredited by the Charter Society of Forensic Sciences, and they're the main professional body for forensic scientists here in the UK. And they've been really positive about our degree, particularly the way we've set up and laid out the curriculum. So we have 4 different strands, and I'll come on to talk about those in a minute, but they like the strands and they also like the way that we teach. So if you come to Lincoln, you're not just going to be sitting in a lecture theatre with someone standing at the front. We've got lots of different ways of teaching. We do workshops, we do seminars, we have you dressed up in the suits in the crime scene for our practicals. We do one-to-one tuition, and also there's lots of support for people. Anyone who needs extra support, there's lots of support here at Lincoln. And I'll let Tasnim talk about the chemistry programs.
Yeah, so as Hilary said, our chemistry and forensic chemistry programs are accredited by the Royal Society of Chemistry. And it was, again, really nice that they commended us on a number of different aspects. They really liked the integrated module approach that we run, which is quite different from other universities. They love the professional practice, the working with industry. They said that was especially good. But most importantly, they said our students felt very, very engaged with the school, and that we had a real respect for the student voice. And they obviously, they commended us on our excellent infrastructure. But again, as Hilary said, we teach in a number of different ways, so it isn't just a big group lecture theatre. That individual support is really important to us.
Okay, thank you all. I've just noticed we've got lots of people putting in comments. Some saying hello and good afternoon. Hello to everyone who's with us today. It's really nice that you've joined us. And so, some questions there. For example, about BTEC forensic science and how do you decide whether a course is the right one for you? Tricky questions, actually. Do you want to have a go at those? Hilary, for instance, the BTEC, is that something you can easily answer?
We take on a really diverse range of students in forensic science. So it's not just people who come in with A-levels. We also take lots of BTEC students. We have people who come in as mature students from the workplace. So that's something that we really welcome and that we're used to. In terms of choosing a course, then I would say looking at that accreditation is really, really important. So you want to make sure you're doing a program that's where someone from external has come in and looked at it and said, yes, what they're doing is a good thing here. But also you need to look at what you're interested in. So if you're interested in more the crime scene side, you want to make sure they've got a good crime scene facility. If you're interested in more my side of things, so drugs and body fluids, you want to make sure they've got the best facilities for you to analyse those. So it's really about checking out what's there for you to use when you get onto the programme.
Okay, thanks, Hilary, and thanks to Ben for that question. We might not be able to answer all your questions in the chat today. If we don't, please head on over to Unibuddy, but we'll try and answer as many as we can during the chat. I want to, however, move us on a little bit, if we can, to talk about the student journey from years 1 to 3 and what students can expect to learn along the way, how you plan that journey for them.
Yeah, so in forensic science, I mentioned these 4 strands that we have. So we have biological sciences, so that's your DNA and things. Analytical sciences, so that's your drugs and body fluids. Crime scenes, which is going into scenes and collecting evidence, and then that all-important professional practice. So we run those for over all 3 years of the programme. But really, the start of the student journey is about the fundamentals. So it's really about getting those fundamentals set. And then as you move on through the programme, you'll get to apply them to different areas and different scenes and different cases and so on. So by the time you get to your final year, that's when you're investigating drugs and tox cases and using those really advanced biology techniques. And I'll let Tasman talk about the chemistry.
Yeah, so in chemistry, we have 4 different strands. For example, the core chemistry, extension studies, and practical chemistry and professional practice that we talked about earlier. Chemistry is a very practical subject, so we have students do a lot of hours in the lab, and they'll spend quite a lot of time in this lab, actually. But also, in terms of chemistry, students, I remember when I started my degree in chemistry, I really didn't know which area of chemistry I wanted to go into. So what we've incorporated into our programs is for students to be able to explore different career options, for example, the analytical side, formulation, pharmaceutical, and a big area at the moment is the energy and environment, particularly green chemistry. So, for example, if you chosen one of the specialist programs on in our portfolio, for example, the chemistry with drug discovery or chemistry with mathematics or chemistry with education, you work very closely with the schools of pharmacy, schools of education, schools of maths and physics. Those courses are particularly suitable for applicants who have an idea what particular pathway they want to go into. But again, if you were like me and you're not quite sure about which area you want to go into and you wanted some flexibility, we allow our students to swap between programs, and it's actually really easy. And I'll talk you through the whole admissions process.
Thank you. Just going back to year 1, that transition to degree from A-level, how's that supported?
Well, I'll pick up initially. I think the most important thing at this stage is about building confidence in your studies, and in science subjects, building confidence in the laboratory and being able to use instrumentation in the ways that we've talked about earlier is pretty crucial to that. So we do provide introductions into the lab space and getting people to use that as their working space. We also revisit some of the key topics that have been presented through the sixth form studies. And in particular, that can be very helpful in reinterpreting some of the things that people have had to learn. And when we apply sort of university level models in there, they can then sort of understand a little bit why those things were being presented to them in the way at school. Alongside that, we obviously have individualized and individual support. Our personal tutoring sessions are timetabled, but alongside that, we also have the opportunities with a timetabled drop-in session where people can go and meet with members of staff, talk about any issues that they might have had, seek some clarification around their understanding, say maybe of some of the lecture material, and be able to link with us in that informal way. Importantly, we do provide all the key learning resources that people will need. So there's no need for people to go out and try and find lab coats or equipment. We provide all of that. And in chemistry, we provide the key texts in organic, inorganic, and physical chemistry. So people have a very reliable set of reference information. Similarly, in forensic science, we also provide specific learning packs to cover those sorts of things. The other piece I think that's important is getting to learn university level activity, and we see professional practice, becoming a professional learner, as a very important part of our introductory modules in professional practice. And alongside how you study, what methodologies might suit you as an individual. Obviously this year we're introducing a whole range of electronic means to support people's study in that way, and I think we'll benefit in the future with all of those tools at our fingertips to enhance the students' learning. Hilary, people with diverse backgrounds perhaps.
Yeah, so I mentioned that before. We get lots of different people coming onto our programs, and we're really used to supporting those people. And also, each different background really brings strength to the program, particularly when it comes to things like group work and so on. So we're good at recognising that. It's gone a bit dark in here. It's not sort of spooky atmospheric. It's just we're very eco-friendly on campus, and so the lights go off if you're not doing anything.
If you wave your arms around, they might come back.
Yeah.
Do a dance for us, Hilary.
And as we've said throughout the program, we really want students working with each other and offering that peer support with each other. So, for example, if you choose to do a chemistry program but you don't come in with a maths A level, it's not one of our requirements. But we ask, students working together is really important. And we actually set different activities depending on your background to make sure that you're all after year one, you're all at the same level.
Okay, thank you. So lots of support there for students getting going and moving from school or college up to university. Lots of the people listening, I think, will be thinking about applying to university. They'll be thinking about where to apply, and they'll be wondering what happens next. Can you tell them a little bit more about what they can expect if they choose to apply to study at Lincoln?
Yeah, sure. I can see that there's lots of questions on the comments about particular, BTEC modules, which ones are relevant, etc. What I'd like to say, I look after admissions, and it's quite a confusing process. And which course is that the right course? MChem, BSc. What I'd like to say, and I'll email you all after this, is that I'd really like to help you through that whole application process, including your personal statements. If you want some help, I'm very happy to help you through that process. But so I'll work with you through email or for phone calls, etc. So what the next steps are, you'll put in an application. Hopefully you'll come and visit us, and then we'll work through that process with you. And again, as I said, there's a lot of flexibility. So don't feel that once you've applied and set a particular course on your UCAS form, you can't change things around. But I'll be emailing you after this, each one of you, so that you've got my contact details.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Tasnim. Because we won't be able to answer all the questions on this bit, but over on Unibuddy, there's lots of opportunity to answer questions. Now, just as we come towards the end of our session, I I just wanted to ask you a little bit about what happens if people don't meet our direct entry requirements. We have a science foundation year. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it works?
Yeah, so we've got the foundation year for both chemistry and forensic science programs. And the purpose of it really is to consolidate that learning from school and extend it particularly around things like maths and biology. The foundation year is taught on campus, and it's the same as being a student in another year, so you have accommodation and so on. But we also have in the foundation year a chance to engage with the school. So I'm the link tutor for the foundation year, and so I currently teach the foundation year chemistry module. So you'll get to take part in stuff in the school. You'll get to go into the teaching lab that other years use as well. And we also have a mentoring that's just starting up this year, and that's where students who've been through the foundation year, they can help you with your transition from year 0 to year 1.
Thanks, Hilary. Can you just tell us a little bit about the social life you support in the school, because that's really important to our students. We know that, and it's not just out there, is it? It's in the school as well.
Yeah, so we're a very social school. And Tasman will tell you about that in a minute. But one of the big ways that you can get involved socially in the school is to join one of our student-led societies. So we've got 2 societies. We've got a forensic science society and a chemistry society that's run by the students for students. And they're really active in some of the things that they do.
So as Hilary said, we are quite a social school, and we work. We as staff, we like to get involved as well. So last week we had our Freshers Week, and our student societies organised a big quiz evening. But we have lots of social gatherings as well. Any excuse for a party. And at the end of our term, the students organise a really nice ball as well.
I think there's quite a bit of interaction between the students. There are established Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups, and a lot of support, a lot of social activities going on there. All a little bit beyond my experience, of course, but social media is a very active space for our school as well.
Yeah, and we celebrate a number of different festivals with our international students as well. So I remember last year Ian cooked a very big turkey, but yeah, that was great. That was it.
So
yeah, that's sort of an abiding theme. Through the year we have bring a dish parties with our postgrads and our undergraduate students being part of that, and that's one of the advantages of having a great international community here. Many highlights, but one particularly memorable one is Andrea Flores, who's one of our computational chemists. He brought his original Italian tiramisu to the last party. That was a particular highlight for me.
So we also hope that in the future we'll be able to go back to running our city welcome tours. So we get some students in higher years to show you around the city, help you get your bearings. That happens in Freshers Week, and it also just gives you a chance to meet some more students in the school.
Yeah, and I'd just like to sort of say that supporting learning community is really, really important to us. And that student experience, I think that should come across throughout what we've been talking about, and that students feel comfortable. And we were a strong believer in that. If students are happy, they'll thrive in their studies and their future.
Yeah, and I think, in that context, we've talked a lot around all the things that we can offer. I think our job really is about creating opportunities here for you, but how you navigate those as an individual and how we support and guide you through that, I think is pretty crucial. And that starts really with the admissions journey here. And I think Tasnim has an incredible track record of providing a very supportive admissions process for people. Obviously, we've not been able to answer each and every question on the chat line just now, but if you pop over to UniBuddies, we'll start to pick up those. There's a huge range of choice here, and finding our way flexibly through that, I think, is something we're very keen to support you with.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We've run out of time now for this session, but thank you to Ian, Tasnim and Hilary. You've painted a really positive picture that helps to explain why you're third in the Guardian League table for chemistry. It really does. and I know the support your students get, and the environment they work in the School of Chemistry is absolutely fabulous. So thank you very much. If we, as we've just said, if we haven't answered all your questions during this chat, please go over to UniBuddy and the team will pick up your questions there and give you that personal answer to any questions you might have. So thank you all, and bye for now. Hello, and welcome to our virtual open day and the College of Science roundtable discussion. My name is Professor Libby John, and I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science here at the University of Lincoln. I hope you're enjoying your day so far and have found out lots of useful information about the university. If you're waiting to hear about a specific programme or subject, you can find the schedule of this roundtable discussion on our virtual open day website. But now let me introduce the School of Life Sciences. This is an interdisciplinary school which provides an exciting and stimulating environment for students. The School of Life Sciences offers 7 main undergraduate programs, including animal behaviour and welfare, biochemistry, biology, biomedical science, bioveterinary science, ecology and conservation, and zoology. As a school, they've got a great reputation for their research and the way they involve students in their undergraduate and postgraduate teaching. And they have a base in the fabulous Joseph Banks laboratories and the adjacent Minster House, which I'm sure you'll hear about in the session to come. In this session, we'll hear from a number of different members of the team that make up the School of Life Sciences, and they're here to tell you more about these programmes and what it's like to study them here at Lincoln. Hello, Mark, Ian, Daniel and Kerry, and welcome to our roundtable. Hello. Can you tell us a little bit about, just introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about what you do at the university? So we start with the first on the screen there.
So my name is Daniel Mills. I'm Professor of Veterinary Behavioural Medicine here at the University of Lincoln. And I teach on both the bioveterinary science degree and the animal behaviour and welfare programmes, but also on our master's programme in clinical animal behaviour. But obviously today I'm going to be focusing on the undergraduate courses. Okay, thanks, Daniel. Mark.
Hi there. I'm the programme leader for the biochemistry degree. I'm primarily responsible for undergraduate teaching, molecular sciences, and I carry out research in protein structure and function. And I'll be able to cover topics today relating to those molecular degrees that include biochemistry and biomedical science.
Thank you. Ian.
Hi there. I'm Ian Stott. I'm a senior lecturer in ecology at the University of Lincoln. I'm relatively new, so I joined the university last year. And my specialty is in ecology and conservation. So I can answer questions related to the ecology and conservation degree and the zoology degrees as well. My research is in modelling the resilience of ecological systems against human disturbances and environmental change, things like that.
Thank you. And Kerry.
Hi, I'm Kerry. I'm the Director for Foundation Year Studies in the College of Science, and that means I look after all the Year Zero students, anybody who's doing a with Science Foundation Year course.
Thank you all, and welcome to this discussion. So, talking about life sciences at Lincoln, first of all, can you tell us about some of the things students might expect from studying your huge variety of programmes within the school and what it's like to study them at Lincoln? I think Daniel, oh no, it was going to be Mark to start.
Yeah, I think I could kick off. So biomedical science, one of our biggest degrees, and that's a really interesting degree studying the pathology and diagnosis of human disease. Lincoln's degree is accredited, which means that it's recognized by the Institute of Biomedical Scientists, and that's actually a requirement if you want to have a professional degree as a registered biomedical scientist in the health service. It's really, really good. The degree gives a lot of real-world training. It uses state-of-the-art clinical equipment laboratories that would mirror those you find actually within the health service. It gives you experience as you train, really, and it's a really a very linked degree to the career. Biochemistry is more about the mechanisms that underpin workings of cells, cellular processes. You get a lot of training in modern molecular techniques, medical, academic research, and Lincoln's very, very good at allowing all undergraduate students to do a wet laboratory-based project in their final year, if that's what they'd like. And we have incredible research facilities to allow students to really use cutting-edge techniques, mass spectrometry, electron microscopy, X-ray diffraction. We also encourage students to undertake placements, both over their summers and as years out, and the university funds student placements within the laboratory, both in first and second year, which is unusual. And students get paid to be in the lab for up to 8 weeks in the summer. We also support them to apply for studentships from learned societies, Wellcome Trust, Physiological Society, etc.
Thanks. And of course, those placements, Mark, are competitive, aren't they? And
They are competitive, yes, absolutely. But there are quite a large number of them, even so.
that's great. All right. Ian, would you like to tell us a bit about the programmes that you're here to talk about?
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk about ecology and conservation, zoology and biology as well. So all of these subjects involve a great deal of organismal biology, so focusing on organisms, but also the systems that organisms make up, basically, so communities and ecosystems as well. And that's a large focus of ecology and conservation, and also zoology, so studying the interactions between animals and other organisms, and biology as well. So there's a great deal of cross-teaching at the University of Lincoln, which I think is a real plus for the university here. And that means basically that programs can learn from other programs. You can take modules which are lots of optional modules specifically in the second and third year, which focus on a range of different subjects. So that's particularly good for zoology and biology, obviously, because they encompass a huge right from cellular biology all the way up to ecosystem biology. And then for ecology and conservation, there's quite a lot of dedicated modules as well. So ecology and conservation are able to take modules from the geography school, which is quite unique to the degree. So they can study environmental and global systems. And it means that there's sort of more uniqueness from the start as well. For all of these degrees, field teaching is really important, and so the University of Lincoln has a great deal of field teaching, I think, which starts right from the very start of your time at Lincoln, especially for ecology and conservation, but then options to do field courses from first year through to second year and up to third year, where we have the overseas field courses. Now, of course, at the moment, this is subject to social distancing and certain rules. So for the foreseeable future, we have to manage those quite carefully, but hopefully in the future we'll be back to normal and we'll be able to go back to teaching students in the field.
And obviously, if you're sort of interested in animals, there's zoology degrees. There's also the two degrees that I'm involved with, the animal behaviour and welfare and the bioveterinary science. So there's sort of three types of animal science degree there. The zoology is the more sort of traditional biology of animals. The animal behaviour and welfare and the bioveterinary science are sort of much more specialised courses. So people sometimes wonder what's the difference between the two of them. And the animal behaviour and welfare is very much for people who are interested in the challenges that animals face when living in captive and wild environments. And the biovet, by contrast, is more about the biological basis of animal health and disease. So quite different focuses from that point of view, and the sort of careers that students go into tend to be slightly different as well. Although I think one of the great things about the courses at Lincoln is that because we have this sort of portfolio of courses, that students can interchange in the early stages of the course. So if you're not quite sure and you get accepted onto one program, as long as there's the room on the other program, you may well be able to move across, because sometimes people come with one thought and it changes. And that's also a flavour generally with our degrees, because we get increased options as you go through the program, because people start to develop their own interests. So I would say to anybody, if you're interested in the broad area, the important thing is to get in, and then you'll have lots of opportunities there as well. And I also like to reiterate what Mark said earlier, that across our courses we encourage students to engage with academic activity through the summer, whether it be through school bursaries or whether it be through professional societies. And there's lots of organisations like Universities Federation for Animal Welfare that provide studentships. They are competitive, but you'll get a chance to work closely with staff if this is something you want to do. So
Okay, thank you all. Can I just remind our audience that we do have comment. You can post a comment if you'd like to. We can't promise to answer all your questions in this particular conversation, but we'll do our best. And it would be great to know what you're thinking about. But to go back to the round table, focusing on our students now, you've told us about your fabulous degree programmes, and it really does sound like an interesting mix. But what will students achieve from studying on these degrees, and what kinds of careers can they expect?
So if I can jump in at this point, I think one of the things to appreciate with all of our degrees is we're going to train you as a scientist. Now, that doesn't mean that we train you necessarily to wear a white lab coat. Scientists come in lots of different forms. Being a scientist is about asking and answering questions in a particular way. It's how we make sense of the world. It's how we build knowledge. We train you in that process. There's a great temptation, especially nowadays, people seem to think that if you shout loud enough, that makes something true. And that's not, we have this as a challenge in society, I think, that, people there's lots of voices out there that are just shouting, whereas it's the scientists. And if you listen to what's going on, for example, with COVID at the moment, it's the government saying, we need the scientific advice. We don't want to hear what people are shouting about. We need the science to get these problems solved. So being a scientist is a key part, and it depends sort of where your interests lie within science that you have that opportunity within the School of Life Sciences. Just to answer your question there about the careers, I was actually recently looking at sort of some of our alumni, and I was actually quite surprised how many of them went into some form of scientific journalism or media, not just the obvious careers, in animal biotech or animal care. And then I just wondered, actually, that might not be just a coincidence. I think that, the way our degrees are structured, because we have this strong practical element as well as the fundamental aspects that both Mark and Ian have commented on, people see not only the science, but they also see the application of it. And that, I think is something that really fires up students, and, that you can see not just sort of the information, but you can see how it makes a difference in the real world. And I also think that with the specialism in the course, you get more opportunity to do more of what you really enjoy, and therefore students come out with, perhaps stronger degrees because they're really focusing on things that they enjoy, and they're getting a degree from an institution with a strong reputation, so they have great graduate opportunities. There's obviously a wide range of science graduate courses as well, as I said, in the animal biology, human health, agriculture sectors. And as you know, Libby, we have a strong presence in agri-tech as well, and linking up and particularly moving into areas of soil health. And I think by having that more specialist course, then also that gives you the edge when it comes to that job opportunity, because you've had the opportunity with the options to study that particular area. But I probably ought to shut up and let one of my colleagues get a word in edgeways at this point.
I think you're right, though, Daniel. I think the degrees do one of the key things that I think helps our graduates, and they do get really good jobs. And I think it's because we do foster critical analysis, independent thinking, alongside the kind of specialist training that they need. And I think that is recognized. And so we do have the sort of the more applied degrees, such as the biomedical science, where we really train them in the topics that would be aligned to a career in the health service. And that's, right down to things like using transfusion center antibody cards, specialist cancer training, diagnostic laboratories that we run. But, we have sort of applied aspects in, say, the biochemistry degree, where we use biotechnology-based modules that help students for careers aligned in industry. And certainly the biochemistry students have a wide variety of things that they'll go into in terms of careers, both academically and industrially, working drug development, biotechnology. Although I have to say that some of my most impressive graduates tend to go into teaching, that they really are absolutely outstanding, those students. And one of the students from the very first cohort from the degree has now become a head of science at a secondary school. So I think that's really, really useful as an output.
Can I just jump in? If you saw recently, one of actually the biomedical scientist graduates, Imogen Napper, and I think she's quite a nice example of sort of the way that we train students and the fact they can adapt their scientific skills. So she came out as a biomedic, does a master's in biotech, does a PhD in marine science, and is now working to address the issue of microplastics in the marine environment. So, just because you do a biomedicine degree doesn't mean you'll end up necessarily in a biomedical career if your interests change. And, people's interests do change the whole time, whether you're 18 or 58. Our interests change. And that's what keeps us hungry, learning new things, I think, the whole time. So I think it's quite a nice example, of a student who came with one vision and, has developed and is now addressing a really big real world issue.
Absolutely, thank you. And I think we're one of the few universities where biochemistry and biomedical science students can go on an overseas field course to a tropical rainforest if they want to and pick up those transferable skills. So, government
I
guidance.
absolutely approve of all students going on field courses, of course, being an ecologist. So we do have one question in the chat asking about what the standard biology course covers. And my answer would just be that it's very diverse and also very flexible, I would say. So, for example, at the start of the degree, you'll study everything from microbial biochemistry, was one of the modules, all the way up to ecology, plant structure and function. So it's looking from cells all the way through organisms, all the way through to ecosystems. And then when you get into the second year and the third year, you have lots and lots of options, across all of our different modules. So everything from, for example, immunology, all the way, reproduction and development would be organismal type things. And then you can study evolution. So that's also something I'm really interested in. And then up into the third year, again, it's very, very flexible. So you'll have everything, right from cellular type or biochemical type stuff all the way up to ecosystems. And if you go to our website, you can look up the all of the degrees, and it shows you the modules that you can study there. So I would just like to jump in with sort of what students go on to do with their degrees, with more ecological and zoological type stuff. So our ecology and conservation course is only taken in graduates. This is our third year now, taking in undergraduates. So we haven't had any ecology and conservation graduates yet. Some are in their third year, but we have had people from other degrees going into, for example, ecological consultancy, working for the RSPB, and things like that.
And in fact, Ian, your ecology and conservation degree was designed with employers right from the outset, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we work closely.
Yeah. And we do try. So I run a module in the third year, which is practical skills for conservation, and I'm getting as many outside people involved as possible, from ecological consultants, people working for non-government organisations, or people working, for example, for research organisations, things like that.
Thank you, Ian. We have a question from Heidi. Heidi, I'm going to suggest that you go over to Unibuddy after the chat, because it's quite specific. So we'll answer your question, Heidi, but perhaps better on Unibuddy. So my next question for my colleagues here. You've told us a little bit about the specialness of your programs, and it all does sound really exciting. Can you tell us a bit more about what's unique about studying in the School of Life Sciences? A bit more about your facilities, field trips, those sorts of things that make you feel very special and are very special.
I think, yes, we have great facilities, and we'll talk about those, but I think one of the sort of most important resources, and it's terrible to refer to it as a resource, is actually the staff. We love what we do, and we teach to our passions. We have an enthusiasm, and that's something which I'm very proud of at Lincoln. And I've been here quite a while now, it's something we've always maintained, is this enthusiasm, passion, and staff who are interested in students as well. We have a range of specialists who, as I said, not only understand the sort of the basics of their science, but also the real world application. And again, that is, I think, so important at the moment in that sort of area. And
yeah, I think I'd agree with you, Daniel. I think that that was one of the things that motivated me to come to Lincoln. It's just the university actually values staff. It values the way that staff interact with students in a way that I find is very unusual. It's very different. It's a partnership. The students are encouraged to work together with staff on real world problems within teaching situations. And I think that means students benefit a lot. They get opportunities to study aspects that they'll be able to take forward into sort of careers beyond the university. We work together. Students will often suggest new directions that I myself wouldn't have necessarily thought about. And I think the students, we generally sort of try and get the students to learn by doing and participating, not being talked at. And I certainly get a real buzz out of that kind of teaching. I think it's a shared experience, if you like. And I think that's quite unique. I find that it makes me very enthusiastic in return.
Yeah, I agree, and I think for the ecological side of things, we all have an enthusiasm for obviously for the outdoors, and we try and make use of our local natural resources. So we actually have a couple of campuses. We have a campus in Lincoln, which is actually in the city centre, but right next to a nature reserve, and we use that for field trips in the first year. And then we also have Rise Home campus, which was sort of the original campus, if you like, on a sort of an old estate. And so there's lots and lots of different habitats that we can take students there. They actually have sort of environmental experiments, if you like, in terms of forest regeneration or the effects of mowing on plant diversity in lawns. So I've taken students up there, and lots of other people take students up there as well to look at these kind of quite useful and long-term experiments in natural habitats.
And at Rise Home, we also have some of our applied animal behaviour work going on. So we have a couple of projects going on there in relation to military working dogs, trying to improve performance there, and also some work going on olfaction for scent detection, that sort of thing. But the main sort of facilities for the animal behaviour and welfare and the biovet students will be down on the main Brayford campus. And we have this fairly unique facility in Minster House. And I'll let Mark talk a little bit about the labs at Brayford. But in Minster House, we have facilities for sort of doing a whole range of work looking at sensory perception in animals. We have Fernando's work, which is looking at bioacoustics, and whilst he uses insects as a model, we've also collaborated on doing work on dogs and looking at differences in different breeds of dogs have different hearing abilities. We have this fantastic space. We do a lot of visual perception work as well, together with colleagues in psychology. So, we sort of one of the important things for understanding behavior and how animals perceive their environment is obviously to understand their senses as well as how their brain works. And so we also have the cold-blooded cognition lab with the tortoises and various other reptiles. And a lot of that work is also focused on very much with a welfare focus as well. So cold-blooded care. So there's all sorts of opportunities to work. And I think another nice example of Lincoln is we work with our local community. We don't keep a resident population of animals in the laboratory, cats and dogs. People volunteer their animals to bring in and work with us and work with the students. And that's good for the animals, and that's good all round,
And fabulous for our students. I think they really enjoy that interaction. I'm going to move us along. There's so much we could talk about, isn't there? We're all so enthusiastic. But I do want to ask some questions about those students and some of our future applicants who might be listening to us now, who might be worried that they're not going to meet our standard entry requirements. And I'd like to have an opportunity to discuss, for Kerry to tell them a little bit about our Science Foundation year, which is such another really special thing that we do here at Lincoln. So over to you, Kerry.
Thanks, Libby. Right, well, obviously Science Foundation year, we support the whole college, but we have worked closely with our colleagues in the School of Life Sciences when we set up the curriculum. We do a lot to support the skill base of students. So, for example, in the first semester, we run a bespoke study skills module, which helps students to develop their academic toolkits, help them move forward when they go into year one, because knowing how to study is just as important as the subject base. Right. We also promote self-reflection so that students take ownership of their learning and help them become resilient and independent learners, ready to tackle the demands of future years of the Lincoln programme. We're actually really pleased that the schools do deliver a module for us in the second semester. Most of the modules are delivered by my award-winning core team, which is very exciting. What Daniel said about the staff and about best resource staff, that really hits the note with me actually, because I think the staff here are passionate about what they do. So yes, second semester the schools run a module for me with academics within the school delivering the material, and that's a really good stepping stone for students as they move through. And then finally, the last thing I'd like to mention about the foundation year is the fact that we're a little different. You come to foundation year, you have 2 tutors. You have your link tutor, who in this case is Karen Staines, and she's also a specialist module I just mentioned. And also you have a transition tutor, which is a personal tutor in order. And in year 0, they'll look after your holistic everything, which is really academic drop-ins to support, with many formative opportunities. Science Foundation, again, help people.
Thanks, Kerry. That's great. I think what Kerry didn't say is it's a national award-winning foundation year.
I find it so difficult to blow my trumpet, I must admit.
Well, and you have a fabulous team. In the last few minutes before we have to sign off, sadly, because we could keep talking about this fabulous school for much longer. Can you tell us a little bit about the generic student journey from year 1 to 3 or 4 or 5, if that's how long it takes? What can students expect to learn? And just a few highlights, because we've only got a few minutes left, please, colleagues.
So I think the first thing is just to reiterate what Kerry said, that the importance of developing self-confidence. I've got 2 sons who are sort of university age, and one of the things that struck me is at school, the students are very much focused on what's the answer, that I need to know. Whereas at university, it's about learning to ask the right questions. And that is a really important skill. And that's something that goes right across the program. We're constantly trying to develop students' critical insight skills. So not to take information at face value, look at criticizing, the work even of experts. Every experiment can be improved, but to understand that. And that is a question of confidence as well. I think the other thing is that, despite the challenges of COVID, as staff, we've learned an awful lot about using other ways of teaching and communicating with students. And I'm looking forward to when we return to some semblance of normality, of integrating some of these new innovative ways of teaching into sort of the sort of more face-to-face. So providing students more opportunities. I think there's a lot there. Generally, sort of our programs are sort of, the first year provides a general introduction, the second year moves into more specialist, and the third is sort of the applied and the real sort of depth and specialism, and lots more opportunity for the students. But I'll let the others talk, because I appreciate probably talking too much.
No, I think I agree with you, Dan. I think all the programs try to develop the students as independent thinkers for critical analysis. And I think one of the key things I would sort of highlight would be the fact that in the final year, there's a culmination of the training that you get in practical skills, where you design your own research project working with a member of staff. And I think that's an experience that we try and provide for all the students at a very, very high level. And the degree can go on. You can do a 4-year degree where you move into an MBio year as well, where it's a more applied year, where you work for an entire year in a research laboratory with one of the members of staff. And I think those are really strong features of the degrees. Do you have anything you add, Ian?
Only that ecology and conservation is slightly different in that it also has geography modules. So it's a little bit more specialized from the start. You have, I think, 3 geography modules in the first year, and then you can take optional geography modules in the second and third years.
And I think a really good example of just, the caliber of the students, just this week, one of our undergraduate students, her undergraduate project was published as a scientific paper. It's one of Elisa's students on looking at lateralization in bees. And that shows you the caliber of, of the students after just 3 years, if they can get, peer-reviewed scientific publications.
That is a brilliant place to end our chat, Daniel. So thank you very much. That's a really exciting note to finish on, and something that all our applicants can aspire to. Many of them would never have read a scientific paper before they come to us, and by the end of their journey with us, they're ready to be authors on papers. And I think that absolutely sums up everything you've been talking about and sharing with us and our audience about what it's like to be in the School of Life Sciences. So thank you all very much. We're going to let you go now, so we have to move on to another school, but thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hello. Welcome to our virtual open day and the College of Science roundtable discussion. My name is Professor Libby John, and I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science. I really hope you're enjoying your day so far and you've found out lots of useful information about the university and what it's like to be a student here. If you're waiting to hear information about a particular programme or subject, you can find the schedule of our roundtable discussion on our virtual open day website. But now let me introduce the School of Maths and Physics. The school offer BSc and integrated masters in maths and physics, as well as several joint degrees with other schools such as computer science and philosophy. Research forms a key part of all programmes, and they closely collaborate with industrial partners and top research institutions to ensure that the curriculum is current. The school offers a supportive and nurturing teaching environment where students are a priority. We're very proud of Maths at Lincoln as they recently ranked 4th overall nationally in the Guardian University Guide 2021. In this session, you'll hear from different members of academic staff and one of our former students who are here to tell you more about studying in the School of Maths and Physics at the University of Lincoln. Hello, Andre, Fabienne,
Hello.
Brittany and Kerry. Welcome. It's lovely to see you all here today. Would you mind just quickly introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your role at the university, or in Brittany's case, what your role was at the university?
Hi, I'm Andrzej Wilendowski. I'm head of School of Mathematics and Physics. I joined this school and I founded it 6 years ago.
Hello, I'm Dr. Fabien Pavusson. I'm a senior lecturer in the school, and I'm also a program leader in different joint programs with mathematics and physics. And I'm also deputy director of teaching and learning for the school.
Hi, I'm Brittany. So I graduated from the School of Maths last year, and now I'm currently training to be a maths teacher at the University of Cambridge. So.
Hi there. I'm Ellie. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning from the Science Foundation year that runs the year 0 for the programmes in the School of Maths and Physics.
Well, welcome to you all. It's fabulous that you could join us today. Let's talk a little bit more about maths and physics at Lincoln. What might students expect from studying maths or physics, and what's it like to study them at Lincoln?
I think I answered this one. When we designed our school programs about 6 years ago, we made it in such a way that the students who would come into the world after graduating, they would have a portfolio of skills and knowledge so that they can adapt their further lifelong study in an ever-changing world. We've done it by balancing various subjects and skills. For instance, in mathematics, we have quite nice balance between pure mathematics subjects and applied mathematics subjects. And in physics, that would be between experimental and theoretical physics subjects. It's all accompanied by substantial training in, for instance, computational skills, presentation skills, teamwork skills, project skills, which all create round-up education in mathematics and physics. But this is not all. In Lincoln, we are very strong in collaborating with basically employers and asking their opinions what is needed at that particular time. As a features of our degree, we have, for instance, modules in industrial mathematics and in industrial physics, which have quite some added value to this education.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andre. Can you tell us a little bit about what students will achieve from studying a maths and physics degree? You've described a very well thought out set of programs there, but what is your goal for students to achieve?
So basically, what we want that our graduates can fly into the jobs or further training straight after the bench in the University of Lincoln, and so far it works quite well. Our graduates find jobs various destinations. Can be high-tech industries. It can be teaching jobs. Teacher training, like Brittany is doing. She will tell more about that. It can be also training in engineering, even for our mathematics graduates. The jobs can be in the industry, and this is where our graduates find them. So I must say, we're very proud how our graduates find their further career. Some also find career in research, and they also come in various top universities. Again, Brittany will tell more about that.
Okay, thank you, Andre. People do tend to associate maths and physics with complex mathematical problems. and various discoveries which have advanced our technology and civilization on this planet and beyond, of course. Can students at Lincoln take part in these discoveries, and in what fields could they do that?
Yeah, I think I will reply to this one. So, of course they can. As as you said, the skill set for research is a very specific kind of skill set, and usually it's not traditionally taught in, let's say, academic modules like algebra and calculus, etc. And so what we did at the School of Math and Physics is that our students are set to follow to undertake projects at different level 1, level 2, level 3, and they start kind of small with let's say literature review in group, and as they move through the years, then they are gaining autonomy and independence, and which basically culminate with individual project in year 3, which is a research project. And so here they acquire these particular skills. Now, at the same time, all academics in the school are research active in various areas that range from, let's say, modeling or even experimental nanophysics, like quantum dots and things like this. And then that can go to the, education, like mathematics education, for example. We also look into this in collaboration with the School of Education, modeling of 3D printing, polymers, etc., and various also studies in applied mathematics, etc. So we've got a range of domains where students would want to engage with, and they have the opportunity to do so usually from year 2, where they can ask us whether it's possible to do an internship, basically a placement for the summer with us. And there are various ways to do so. So one is to use the EUROS scheme, which usually at least runs every year and is supported by the university. It's an undergraduate research stipends, which students can eventually be rewarded with. But otherwise, we can also, budget permitted, essentially provide also a stipend directly via the school as well for them to undertake a research project with us. We've had successful attempts in the previous years, and people who actually did it with us. I have a couple in mind, and they moved into higher educations where they continue either as a master's students or in PhDs. Now, ultimately, whether they benefit directly from it or not is obviously a different matter. Research is a long kind of story to tell. So eventually, down the road, what they do will eventually end up in publications, and they will be recognized in such publications. But because we want them to really get the most out of it, then we recommend and invite them to present the work that they do with us at different events, such as the British Undergraduate Research Conference, which in principle, again, is held every year. And again, we've had multiple students attending such events, and it was very beneficial for them. So again, we try as much as possible to bring everything we can to support their abilities to do research and enjoy it and discover whether this is for them or not.
Brilliant. Thank you, Fabienne. Can you I might not be the only person who doesn't know what a quantum dot is. What's a quantum dot? And why would I want to?
No, basically it's just like a piece of that could be a metal, for example, and essentially what happens is that as you reduce the size of this metal, then it starts to behave like an atom. So if you shine light on it, then essentially it's going to absorb it and then shine it back, and in very specific with very specific colors. And these colors will depend on the size of the piece of material you've got. And this is used in various experimental techniques, for example, in biology, molecular biology, and other areas.
Right, thank you. Sounds really interesting. Right, I'm going to turn to Brittany now for my next question. So you've joined us as a former student, and it sounds like you're at Cambridge now studying to be a maths teacher, which is fabulous. Can I get your take on the student experience at Lincoln? How was it for you?
Yeah, so I absolutely loved my time at Lincoln. I feel like I'm a bit of a home bird, and Lincoln's not one of the largest cities in the UK, so it's quite small. And I feel it's very student-led because the university is a huge part of Lincoln as a city. So for that reason, you always feel quite safe. You feel like you make friends easily. And I feel like the course as well, I made so many friends and so many great memories through doing maths at Lincoln. And I felt there's just so many resources and facilities at Lincoln as well. Like, you'll just have the best time.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. Now, if students don't, oh, no, I've got another question for you, Brittany, before we move on. If you think back to when you started, that transition from A-level to being a student, can you tell us a bit about what that was like?
Yeah, so my route was quite a bit different to maybe the generic way of going to uni straight from your A-level. So I actually applied as a mature student and took 2 years out between my A-levels and my degree. I actually wrote my dissertation or third-year project on this transition as well. But basically, I found it quite a bit of a struggle just because I took that long two-year period out. But actually, just by talking to my lecturers and communicating and looking at actually what resources I had available, there's lots of things on Blackboard, and obviously if you get like the books and stuff that you recommended, they'll all be really, really helpful. But I do remember talking to my peers, and they said that actually the transition was pretty much seamless from A-level to degree, and your first semester is almost a bit of a recap, so it just gets you into like starting university, a different education setting. And so from there, I actually went on to win most improved student in my third year. So actually, it doesn't really matter much about your previous grades. You will succeed at Lincoln. So
that's brilliant. And I think that's something that we're really proud of, supporting students from different backgrounds to do well. And that's reflected in their recent league table position. So thank you for mentioning that. That's great. So if students don't meet our standard entry requirements, they could come in via the Science Foundation year route, Ellie. So can you tell us a little bit about how you would support those students to develop the skills they need to do well on a maths or physics programme?
Yes, absolutely. So the Science Foundation year curriculum is bespoke to Lincoln University and has been co-written with academics from the School of Maths and Physics. We offer a range of maths and physics modules that have been specifically designed to equip students with the mathematical and digital skills that will help them to succeed in year one and right through to the end of their programmes. We also think that developing students' academic toolkits is vital to their progress in higher education. And all Year Zero students will sit a study skills module that supports them to develop a range of skills, everything from presentation skills to scientific writing, critical analysis, referencing, digital capabilities, revision and exam skills. And we also promote self-reflection so that students are encouraged to take ownership of their own progress and become self-directed and resilient, independent learners ready to tackle the future demands of their Lincoln programme.
Thank you. And did you mention that you're an award-winning foundation year team?
Yes, we absolutely are. So we've been thrilled to win the Team Teaching Award from the University of Lincoln for the last 2 years, and also last year to win the National Highly Competitive Advanced HE Collaborative Award for Teaching Excellence.
Which is brilliant. Yeah, we're very proud. And perhaps you can tell us a bit more about who teaches those foundation year modules, now that we know you're an award-winning team, and that whether you're taught, where you teach students, how they link into the rest of the university.
Yeah, absolutely. So the core Science Foundation year team, we have a range of teaching qualifications. So we're dual qualified across educational sectors, from further education, secondary education and higher education. So we're well placed to guide you on that transition into university. And we also have first-hand experience of conducting scientific and mathematical research. So we know where you want to get to as well as where you're coming from. In addition to the core team, a leading academic from the School of Maths and Physics acts as a link tutor. So that link tutor is present throughout the foundation year and also coordinates a specialist transition module taught by academics from the School of Maths and Physics, which helps to build those key relationships between students and academics in the run-up to year one, and also arms students with the skills that academics know from experience will set them in good stead for year one. And a Science Foundation Year student is just like every other student in the University of Lincoln, with full access to university accommodation, student union, the wellbeing team, sports facilities, and they're taught in exactly the same high-tech labs as all of the students in the School of Maths and Physics. And we know that that integrated approach is really successful because students who've completed the year zero continue to thrive right through the rest of their programmes.
Thank you, Ellie. It is a fabulous programme. Thank you. Can someone talk us through the student journey from year 0 or 1 to year 3 or 4? What can students expect to learn, and how will their skills and experience build over that period?
Who is that?
Perhaps Brittany can tell how was change from one year to another led to the final year.
I think more in your first year, it's more like set subjects and modules. So then from there you build on that, and then it's more your choice as you build into third year. And then obviously you spend less time on maybe your modules and more time on your third year project. So really it's making you in from more like less school led, so how you would be taught academically at school, where maybe you just like spoke to and then you sit an exam, to actually you're really part of the research. And then by third year you're actually looking at how maths is used out in the big wide world, and it's just really fascinating really. So
Wonderful.
Pardon, could you just say that again?
It sounds like you found it really inspirational.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time at uni, so yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, let's move on then. So what kind of support is available for students at Lincoln? Academic support, learning resources? I think, Fabienne, would you like to reflect on that?
Yes, I will take this one. So, for students at the University of Lincoln, there are various kinds of support, various levels. And in particular, the first level is a university level, which basically is accessible to all students at Lincoln. So academically, there is facilities and services provided by the library. And so on the website of the libraries, there are plenty of advice about how to study, like different methods and techniques to study, like time management and so on. But obviously in the libraries, there's also plenty of resources you can access in order to understand better or deeper the particular topic you're studying. So academically, there is this aspect as well for mathematics students, or at least our students. It's even better because there is a dedicated team which basically helps in mathematics. So that can be also very helpful, and they are associated with the library as well. So it's obviously helpful if our students are aware of it. Now, at the social, let's say, level or well-being level, there are different ways the university again takes care of the students. So there is a well-being center. So if students may feel that they are unwell, or they feel anxiety and so on, then they can reach out to the well-being center, which then will guide them through different processes, like meet different people and so on, or professionals. And Also, socially speaking as well, some people may feel isolated, and so here the student union will play a role in this. So they are going to communicate and be proactive in communicating with students to make sure that they don't feel isolated, that they've got activities that they know exist on campus or outside of it. Now, that's for the university level. At the school level, every single student is associated to an academic, which will be whom will be personal tutor for that student, and will follow the student throughout the 3 years or 4 of learning. So in that case, this personal tutor becomes the key contact for any problem in principle the student may have, ranging from social, administrative problems, academic problems, liaising with module coordinators, with program leaders, etc. So they are really a first point of contact for this, and we believe that this reassures as well the student that there is always somebody to talk to and to reach out to in order to do things. Now, of course, personal tutor is great, but the issue is sometimes students, for some reason, which are maybe outside of our capacity or our abilities to appreciate, they do not engage with the activities we would propose or with the teaching we propose, etc. So one of the ways, especially in year 1, right? So one of the ways we try to assess this as a School of Mathematics and Physics is by setting regular assessment, especially in year 1, so that even if students do not come, let's say, in to teaching sessions, then we can assess whether they engage with the assessment themselves, because that can tell us whether there is, cause for concern. Now, because there are regular assessments, after about 2 or 3 weeks, we are able to tell, or let's say determine, which students might be able to, might require, let's say, further investigation and maybe discussion and so on. And at that stage, we can flag it up to senior tutors within the school who will engage with further discussions with the student to find out whether there is anything we could do to support them further. So I think that kind of putting together the different ways by which students can benefit here and basically how we try to support them as best as we can.
Thanks, Fabienne. I was wondering if Brittany would tell us a bit about which aspects of the support the school gave were particularly useful for you.
Yeah, so as I said, obviously I struggled with first year quite a bit just due to the period I took out between my A-levels and my degree. But I just found that actually just by communicating with your lecturers and just explaining what's going on, and we're quite lucky that in IMB, which is where our building, which is for maths, so the Isaac Newton building, the majority of our lecturers, all their offices are on the same corridor. So if you've ever got a problem, you can just knock on their door. You're welcome to do this as a group or on your own. So I always found that even if they're not available to talk to in person, you can always email them and they straight away will get back to you. And actually your lecturers are there as a resource and not just a lecturer. So I found that they were really supportive in that. And then obviously, again, on what Fabienne said, with your tutor, you're with them every week in first year. And I feel like that is just a close-knit bond. Like my tutor group were my 3 best friends the whole way through uni. So your tutor group can really help in like the pastoral side of things and anything you've got going on outside of university. So yeah, I found there was a lot of support. And then pastoral again, student support is also available widespread throughout the university for any course. And I know they help with a lot of mental health issues and provide you a lot of techniques. And as Fabienne said, they can forward you on professionals if needed. So there's a lot of support.
Brilliant. It's great to hear you found it there when you needed it. Of course, university isn't all about studying. We've been rather serious, I think, in this conversation. There has to be a lot of fun as well. So can you tell us all a little bit, could you all tell me a little bit about the social aspects of studying in the School of Maths and Physics? I know, for instance, when I tried to talk to Andre on Friday night, he was in a quiz with all his new students. So I know that social stuff happens in the school. Can you just all fill us in with a little bit about what it's like?
Yeah, we actually indeed have various activities, and it starts with a Freshers Week, Welcome Week quiz, and that kind of icebreaker type of activity, which then continues in varieties of other activities we organize. We have, for instance, mathematical games where staff and students would sit together and solve some kind of puzzles, and that builds this teamwork environment. Our school are rather small compared to maybe huge universities in other places. So you never kind of get lost here in the crowd, and that teamwork, which I think supports and creates very nice and warm environment. And of course, there is student union, which also has a professional society of math and physics, and I'll just pass a word to Brittany, perhaps, to tell a bit more what she was engaged in, what kind of social activities while being student here.
Yeah, so I feel like my time at uni was very social. I mean, I'm a bit of a social butterfly, so I had a wide range of friends, not just from my course, literally from an array of courses. So I feel like because of the closeness of Lincoln and how it is mainly like a student-led city, I feel like you do get to know a lot of people very quickly. And I do know that obviously the maths and physics do have their own society. So if you're looking at way to find friends, that would be a great way to sign up to that. I know in my third year I joined lacrosse. Never have I ever played before in my life, and I ended up playing nearly every game that year. So I just think really, if you just want to get out there, there's lots of sports societies and academic societies, and if there's not a society, then you can make one. So really, just do whatever you want to do.
I think that's right. That's great, Brittany, that you had a go at lacrosse. I think that's one of the absolute things about being at university is it's that opportunity to have a go at all sorts of new things, isn't it? Not just your subject, but other things outside it as well. So thank you. I was just wondering, Brittany, if you could just finish off. We've just got a minute or two left. The question you weren't expecting, but can you just tell us a little bit about what's inspired you to want to go off and be a maths teacher? Because it's so exciting that you're doing that. The world needs great maths teachers.
Yeah.
It really does.
So basically, I've always loved maths. Like since a small age, Mum says I always used to do Sudokus from being very small. So just always really loved numbers. But actually, when I started A-level maths, I fell a bit out of love with maths, and it was quite a challenging 2 years of my life. But my previous maths teacher from school was also my maths teacher for my A-levels, and I told everyone about him. I dedicated my third year project to him, and I feel like if I can help another student get to university and study maths the same way he did, then that would be a life dream. So I feel like we need more inspirational maths teachers out there to just get people to enjoy maths more.
Well, it's a great place to end. I have no doubt, Brittany, that you're going to be one of those inspirational maths teachers. Absolutely. So thanks for sharing with us. That's fabulous to hear that from you. I think we're out of time for this session, unless colleagues have any one last thing they want to add in. We're pretty well there. And so people who are listening, our audience, if you have questions for the team, please go over to UniBuddy, where staff and students from the school will be ready to answer your particular questions, and they can be about you or more general questions about the course, whatever you want to find out about. So it's all there. But I do hope just listening in on this conversation has answered some of your questions and has made you see what a fabulous school this is to be part of. I think we're all really proud of them. So thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Brittany. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to our College of Science roundtable on the University of Lincoln Virtual Open Day. My name is Professor Libby John and I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Head of the College of Science here at Lincoln. I hope you're enjoying your day so far and have found out a lot about the university and have already got lots of useful information about what we do here and what it's like to study here. If you're waiting to hear information about a specific programme or subject, you can find out the schedule on our Open Day website. But now I'm going to introduce the School of Geography. The school offers a BSc and a BA in Geography, as well as an integrated master's programme. They have an integrative approach that aims to provide the intellectual tools necessary to understand the relationship between human society and the environment and the issues that challenge our future. In this session, you'll hear from members of the academic staff and one of our students who are here to tell you more about studying geography at Lincoln. Hello, Dan, Crichton and Sophie. Please can you quickly introduce yourselves and tell us what your role is here at the university?
Thank you, Libby. Thanks for the warm introduction. I'm Dan Magnone. I'm a senior lecturer in physical geography, and I also am the BSc program leader. So that means I'm the leader on that side of our physical geography degree course.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Creighton Connolly. I'm a senior lecturer in development studies and the Global South, and I teach that as well as some other modules in our human geography program at Lincoln and do research on those areas in Southeast Asia.
Hey, I'm Sophie and I'm a student ambassador and also School of Geography rep, and I'm going into my 3rd year.
Great. Well, thank you all for being here today. Can you tell us a little bit more about geography at Lincoln? First of all, what programs you offer and how they differ from each other?
So we offer 2 degrees, or 2 undergraduate degrees, a BA degree and a BSc degree, and effectively these broadly follow human geography on the BA side and physical geography on the BSc side. One of the things, as Libby mentioned at the start of this presentation, is that we really are wanting to show that unity of geography. Geography is a complete subject, not something where you have to be siloed into one stream or the other. So whilst there are differences, and what we want is we want students to be coming out with a degree of specialism in one side or the other, it's your decision of how much you want to specialize in either subject. So if you want to come out as a rounded geographer, you could have quite a balanced degree. But if you really want to specialize and go down that human geography route or that physical geography route, that option is available to you as well. So there's 2 degrees, and there are elements that are mix and match, but really we're encouraging you to become the geographer that you want to be, rather than imposing that upon you from the top. Crichton, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would say that's a really good overview, Dan. So the first year is very holistic. You take both core modules that cover both sides of the discipline. Second year, you get a little bit more choice, take some optional modules in either human or physical geography, and then 3rd year, you can specialize as much as you would like, or you can continue to take that mix of human and physical geography.
Okay. So what might students expect from studying human geography or physical geography, and what's it like to study at Lincoln?
So we offer a range of practical and theory-based courses. So on the physical geography side, I'll take the physical geography side. We have some courses which could range from doing bits of in the past we've done bits of local field work, and in the past we have also run some trips abroad. We are also doing things like laboratory work. We think this is a very important part of we think this is a very important part of our degree. and and we're also encouraging a very GIS-based approach, because modern geography is very much about that. So we are looking at the sustainability of Lincolnshire in your first year. This is a really key area of thinking about how we move forward going into the future. And we integrate that with local organisations such as the Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust. So it's trying to focus on those core skills like GIS or laboratory skills that would be needed in a career, whilst giving you a good theoretical grounding in terms of the theoretical side of physical geography.
Yeah, and on the human, sorry.
No, over to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the human geography side, we cover a broad range of the disciplines. So we take a critical perspective on a range of issues, historical and contemporary, that are affecting contemporary and future society and the relationships between humans and the environment. So that includes cultural geography, development studies, and impacts of climate change on people and the environment as well. And we try and connect that as much as possible to what is being covered on the physical geography side.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like a really exciting and current set of modules and courses, as you know, tackling a lot of current problems in the planet right now. So very important stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about how who teaches and what it's like from a student perspective to be on this degree?
So we have a theme which runs through the university, but we very much pick up on it of research-led teaching. And I think this is one of the things that a lot of students find is the big difference between university and school, is that all of our staff are active researchers, and that really flavors the type of learning that you would get in your degree coming to Lincoln. So we have a broad range of people who are very active in creating new geographical knowledge. And so it's this active new geographical knowledge, and the people who are creating that at the academic coalface, as it were, and you are learning from them. And I look at what my colleagues are producing at a research level, and it's impressive. It's impressive work, and this flavors what you would be learning from. And we've got a range of staff. So as Crichton says, he works on urban stuff in Southeast Asia. I also work in Southeast Asia, but I look at groundwater. So you would have a range of different expertise, research-led within the department.
Yeah, and I would add that we do have an emphasis on field trips in normal years. Obviously, that's subject to government advice and restrictions this year. So depending on how long that lasts, in the meantime, we're trying to do some virtual field trips to still cover the content that we would learn on those experiential learning activities until we're able to conduct them again actually in the field. So our first years go out to coastal areas of Lincolnshire and learn a mix of applied physical and human geography skills there. And second year, our students go to Crete, and again, that's a core module where students are learning both human and physical skills that they can use to conduct research in the field. And in third year, we have an optional field trip that goes to Chile, which again covers both human and physical sides of the discipline. That's run by myself and my colleague Luca Mao, who's a physical geographer that studies hydrology, especially in glacier environments in Chile, and he has a lot of personal experience there. So those are some of the ways that we try and really get students involved in doing research. They're involved with their dissertations and working closely with our academic staff to develop an undergraduate dissertation in the third year that gets them working on really contemporary issues, some of which our academics are working on as well. So we do try and have that close interaction between students and staff, and because of our student numbers, we're able to have that sort of close contact and pastoral care between the the students and staff. And I think it's, as Sophie will I think say later, that we do have a good relationship with the students.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we picked up, really, that we're very proud of, that got picked up, just to pick up that last point of our relationship with the student. We are a small course by geographical standards, so that means that mostly we get to know what makes our students tick and what motivates them to do geography. And the last National Student Survey, that's the NSS, we did very well, particularly on the human geography side, and we got a really high score on that, which was 100% on the BA side. So I think we can be really proud of that relationship that we've been developing with our students over the last few years.
Brilliant, thank you. What can they expect to achieve from studying human geography or physical geography? What sort of careers will they end up going into? I know you've only just had your first cohort reach the end of their studies, but you might have some reflections on the kinds of career prospects you see for your students.
Well, some of the ones that have just graduated, we've seen a range of some students stay on to do masters, and I've known some who've gone off to do teacher training, and so there's a range of, and some have gone into various different industries. On the physical geography side, some of the things that you could anticipate would be sort of environmental work, and there's a range of different situations, from consultancy to the public. Various public organisations, often councils, employ geographers, and service providers of environmental services would provide geographers. So there are a range of things on the physical geography side there, but it's also those softer skills that you're developing, the time management, networking, how to analyse data. Modern geography is, I always say, modern geography is not just somebody standing in mismatched tweeds on a field. It is it's about data, it's about big data, and it's about making sure that we're using high-tech stuff to understand the way that the world works in a physical perspective. And I know that Crichton has seen some of the BA students go off and do some equally exciting things as well.
Yeah, just to add to that, we have a number of our students on both the human and physical geography side have stayed on at Lincoln to do MA or MSc by research, which is really encouraging. I think they've enjoyed their time at Lincoln in both a personal and academic sense, and have wanted to continue that. So with some of them, we're helping to further develop their dissertations, and others are working on us on active research projects. We have another student who's gone on to do a PhD at University of Loughborough, so that's really excellent, straight out of his third year. And then we have students that have been working with, as Dan said, with the local council on placements in their third year, which runs as a module, so you can take that time, the 150 hours in a semester, to actually do a work placement, and then that can lead to future work opportunities. So that could be things like urban and regional planning, or being sort of an aid or development worker, and also going into academia and teaching.
Yeah, so one of our placements last year was with the ambulance survey on the human geography side, ambulance service rather, and so geographers are we're getting everywhere.
And we've had myself and Harriet Moore that have been quite active in doing research related to the current COVID pandemic, and how urbanization sort of shapes, brings about the relationships that lead to these pandemics, and also how local areas are responding to the COVID pandemic. So we have been quite active in staying with contemporary events and pressing issues as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. As I said, geographers are everywhere at the moment, aren't they? Most current problems involve geography, physical or human, or the combination of both. So you're painting a really interesting picture of your school and the opportunities students get here. Would you like to just tell us some of what you think are the unique features of studying at Lincoln that are maybe a bit different from other universities that offer geography?
Well, I think that interdisciplinary focus, the one geography focus, is something that the school is relatively new by geographical school standards, and when we set this school up, one of our our driving principles was this unity of geography, or a single geography approach, and I think that is something that we do really very well in this school, and I think one of the things our students, and perhaps Sophie might pick up on some of this, is it enables you to pick up on both sides of the degree. I'd also point out that from a physical geographer perspective, we sit within the College of Science, and that means that we have access to facilities that are very, very good indeed. So we are using the same laboratories that the chemistry students would use, or the life sciences students, and that's a real positive for our students. So our students are working in those standards of laboratories that you would eventually work at if you were following a chemistry degree, or if you're following a life sciences degree. And I think that's something that we can really benefits our students. And then finally, I point out that the push on GIS. So for those, some of you have used it, some of you won't have if you're Geography A-level students. GIS stands for Geographical Information Systems, and it's the computer end of geography, and it underpins almost all of modern geography. And this could be used at an organization such as a large supermarket chain that's working out their logistics, to a council that's working out how to deal with their with say waste removal, to the Environment Agency working out how rivers work. So it covers the whole of geography, does GIS, but we think it's a critical skill, and that's been implemented from day one, year one at least, all the way through the degree, and it's a really core skill. So those two elements, I would say, the interdisciplinary nature and the strength of the GIS within the heart of it, is something that we do really well within the degree.
Thanks, Dan. You got anything to add to that, Crichton?
I think Dan covered it all really well, and I think Sophie can add some more from the student perspective as well.
Brilliant.
Yes, particularly, Sophie, if you could pick up on some of the research that you have done as an undergraduate, I think that'd be a really nice thing for students to hear about.
Yeah, we're just very keen to get your students' perspective, Sophie. So tell us what it's like from your point of view.
Yeah, so like over the past few years, it's been absolutely fantastic. Like right from the first day, it's really welcoming. You kind of feel like part of a community. And like Dan said, there's so many opportunities to get involved with. So like being a student ambassador, course rep, part of the campaigns network, and then also the undergraduate research project, which I did with Dan, and we looked into microplastic contamination in the River Witham. So that was really great to do. It's something that you wouldn't necessarily think you'd be doing when you study geography at A-level, because I definitely didn't think I was going to do something like that. But like I said, like you can pick whichever part of geography you want to study, so you can make the degree your own, which is something that really drew me to the course at Lincoln.
Yeah. And I know that several of so Sophie has done a wonderful research project last summer or the summer before, and part of a university scheme where there were bursaries offered for students to undertake research with lecturers. So it's a real push on the research, student researchers, and some of our students I know are trying to go through the process of trying to publish their dissertations at the moment. And so there's some really high level work being done by our students, and we're very proud of that. And hopefully if you were to come and study geography with us, that's where you would be in 3 or 4 years' time.
Mm-hmm. So Sophie, tell us about microplastics in the River Witham. Are there lots?
There was quite a lot, yeah. Quite surprising how many there were, and then other stuff as well. I think we found a fair bit of lead as well, which was not great. But yeah, it was something that I, like I say, wasn't expecting to do. So the opportunity to be able to do that and be part of something that's so up and coming is great.
Yes, it's fabulous, isn't it? So thanks. Can you tell us a bit about other opportunities you get from being a student here in the School of Geography? Obviously, the ability to engage in research is absolutely fabulous, but the sort of general student life stuff, being a student rep, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so as a like student rep or course rep, you kind of part of maintaining feedback within the school, kind of helping make amendments to courses to make sure they're better for the next years. And then also we've just implemented a mentor scheme within the school to help the first years with the transition, and trying to increase like communication within the school and between all 3 years, which is something that we've been trying to work on for a little while.
And this is something that Sophie really pushed, because Sophie is our school rep, and it was something she came to me and she said, this is what I want to do now I've been elected to this position. And I hope you feel, Sophie, that this is sort of us listening to what you want as students, and certainly you can make quite large changes as students, and make a real difference, partly because of the size of our department, partly because of where we are in our growth stage.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what you feel, Sophie?
Yeah, it's really good. Like if we have just like little amendments or anything we think would improve something, they definitely listen. Especially with the mentor scheme, I've had so much good feedback about it, saying how it's really helped them already. So it's great to hear something like that is actually making a difference.
Brilliant, thank you. So my next question is also for Sophie. If you think back to when you started your course here, can you tell us a bit more about how you found that transition from A-level to degree, and maybe a bit about the mentor scheme that you've introduced to help with that, which you just told us about?
Yeah, so I took a gap year, so I thought it was going to be really hard, but actually it wasn't too bad, because the way that they've designed the degree is so that it helps you settle in and get to know where you are, and the lectures are all super helpful. Like Dan said, there's like quite small student numbers, so coming from a school that was quite small, that was quite nice to still be able to have that relationship and be able to easily just go and ask them a question if you need it. And yeah, it just, with the mentor scheme, obviously it was a little bit tricky transitioning. So hopefully the mentor scheme will help the first years with someone as another port of call to go to if they just have a little question like, how do I use the library or something like that.
It is a big jump, isn't it? And of course, we don't want university to be like school or college. It's a whole other thing, but it's about helping students make that leap. Yes. So that brings me on to my next question, which is about that student journey. So you start at university and then you move on through years 1 to 3 or 4 if students stay on for a 4th year. How do students learn along that journey?
So I think Crichton touched on some of this earlier on, but we have this first year that is combined between the BA and the BSc degrees, and this is really to embed some core skills and to start thinking across the discipline. So it's making sure that you've got a rock solid base to work from, and then once we've got that foundation laid, we build upon it. And so I suppose the analogy is you can't build a building with all its fancy things without making sure the foundation is really rock solid. And that's what we do in certainly in the first year is do things through lectures, seminars, small group tutorials, but along core modules. So you would do, with me, you do environmental data monitoring and analysis, which is laboratory heavy. It's got some, go and do some research projects in that. We've got our GIS courses. We've got introductions to sort of certain aspects of physical geography, introductions to certain aspects of human geography, and introductions to the GIS skills. And once we've got that core skill embedded in you in the first year and you've developed your skills there, we can start letting you specialize in other degrees, and that's in other parts of the degree. And that's what happens with the second year. So there's more modules than I can name, but on this one. But you're starting to go down things such as, on the physical side, you might go down and start specializing in river processes or coastal processes, and we've got some what's called biogeography, which you may or may not have come across, which has a strong overlap with ecology. And then we've got things like placements, which we talked a bit about earlier. Crichton, would you pick up on what happens in the second year on the human side?
Yeah, so in the second year, we have students take, we have options, so they can take either climate change from a human geopolitical perspective, so social, political, geography. And we have development studies in the Global South. We have historical and cultural geography. So we're really introducing students to the foundations of the human side of the discipline. And we really take a strong approach, as Libby might have talked about in previous schools, to students as producers. So we try and include students as much as possible in seminars and really helping to take initiative and generating discussion and independent learning amongst themselves, which really differentiates A-level geography to university geography. And then the third year, you get a much more, a broader range of modules to choose from, and go into more specialized topics as well. So we have health and well-being, and political ecology, and a range of other subjects.
And in the third year,
build along the way, don't they? So you get your skills develop as you go through.
Yeah, so many of the third year modules are leading on from where the options that you had in the second years, so you can go and delve into something in a bit more detail. In particular, one of the areas is the dissertations, where you'll work one-on-one with a lecturer. So a lecturer will have a number of undergraduate dissertations, and you will work on your own research project. And this is what I was mentioning earlier in terms of some students have produced stuff of a quality that we think they can get this published.
Good, because what's happened, we were just discussing that in one of the other schools this morning, so that's brilliant. If students can get publications from their undergraduate degree, really fabulous. I know the school offers a lot of support from personal tutorials, dedicated office hours. Sophie's told us that the staff are all approachable. You've got a fabulous library at Lincoln, haven't you, which offers all sorts of support for students. So there's lots there. Sophie, I wondered if you could pick out what aspects of student support at Lincoln had been most supportive to you along your journey.
Yes, so definitely the personal tutors have been really, really useful, but also the library and academic subject librarians. So if you're just looking for a resource or you can't find something, or if you need them to read through like an essay or something, then they'll happily do that for you. But as I'm going into my third year, the Careers Centre has also been really useful. So they do like CV workshops and cover letters and drop-ins. And they also run the Lincoln Award, which helps obviously increase your employability and volunteering, which has been really useful, especially because they do a mock assessment centre at the end, which is something that quite a lot of jobs look for.
Yes. Right, well, thank you. And then finally, because we're nearly out of time, sadly, could you tell us a little bit about what it's like socially in the school? Because university isn't all work and no play, is it?
Yeah, so we've just newly reformed the Geography Society, which is ready to go. I think it launched last week. And we've got like loads of different things that we can do online at the moment. So we've got like academic seminar series and workshops with companies such as like Delta Simmons, as well as volunteering opportunities and just stuff we can provide our members. So for example, we've got a volunteering opportunity with the Royal Geographic Society, so you can be an ambassador for geography. But there's also loads of other societies which are linked to other courses, interests, and like sporting. There's like everything, honestly.
So have you picked up any sports, Sophie, or is...
I'm a big swimmer, so.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm afraid we're pretty well out of time now. So any last thoughts from my panel here? Last comments about the wonders of geography at Lincoln?
Well, I think I'd say we're a really welcoming school. It's an exciting place to be at the moment, and if you choose to apply, we'd be delighted to see an application to geography here at Lincoln. We'd be really welcome that.
Absolutely. Thank you all of you. That's been really inspirational. I think it's a truly exciting time to be a geographer, actually, isn't it? It probably always has been an exciting time to be a geographer, but right now it feels that geographers are in the middle of a lot of key issues that we need to sort out as human beings, and so it's a really exciting subject. So we have run out of time. So thank you to Dan, Crichton and Sophie for joining us today. That's fabulous. I do hope the conversation has helped those of our guests to find out a bit more about geography at Lincoln. We know we won't have had time to answer all your questions. If you have questions, please head over to UniBuddy or our website, where you can find out lots more about what's going on and ask specific questions that might be you might need addressing. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to our guests for listening in, and thank you very much to the panel and for attending this discussion today.
Thanks for having us, Libby. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And finally, thank you all so much for attending the College of Science roundtable discussion. I really hope it has answered lots of your questions and you've got a sense of what to expect if you choose to join us here at the University of Lincoln. I think all my colleagues and the students who've been in this session today have shown their real passion and enthusiasm, and I hope you've got a sense of that. Please feel to contact any of the schools or members of staff you have seen here today. They'd be delighted to hear from you, and you can find their contact details on our website. I hope you enjoy the rest of this lovely day, and goodbye.